very small minority of you out there sometimes complain about seeing the same names again and again in replays, but to be honest, Total War Warhammer community has never been particularly huge. I mean, certainly there have been some specific events, different points in history that have generated a lot of interest and a lot of entries for sure, but I mean, it's always been a relatively niche game, right? And there have been a lot of people over time who might have been into the game at one point and for whatever reason might have lost touch. But right here we have one of those, of course, Shetland Apache, making many recent appearances, and definitely glad to showcase some of his replays against Rider of Rohan, who kind of came onto the scene in Warhammer 2. I don't know if these two actually ever fought historically, but I think they pulled each other on quick battle, so definitely excited to see how this goes. We've got High Elves, of course, for Rider of Rohan, and the Foul Chaos Dwarfs for Shetland Apache here. And let's take a look. We got some War Lions here for Rider, some Spearmen, looks like Sword Masters as well, a couple of Shadow Warriors, and some Illyrian Reavers. More Shadow Warriors over here. A Metal Mage with some Lion Chariots in the corner, and an Archmage on the Eagle. I know Rider's been quite a fan of the Eagle lately, and it is quite cost-effective, decent charge bonus. Overall great stats, especially with Martial Prowess active, 42 melee defense on a fast-flying combatants, pretty good stuff. And yeah, looking for some Flock of Doom. We've got Lore of Metal here for Plague of Rust, basically turn these Shadow Warriors into Way Watchers. As for the Chaos Dwarfs, Astragoth Iron Hand, we've got a bunch of laborers in quotations. Granite Guard here, looks like Infernal Ironsworn, a couple of rockets getting shredded by Archer Fire or something there. Infernal Fireglaves, yeah, Infernal Fireglaves, what are they? Infernal Guard Fireglaves, that's it. Some more Ironsworn over there, so right off the bat, yeah, Rider getting aggressive here, trying to break through some of the chaff and immediately overrun into Granite Guard there. I believe War Lions, yeah, they have Striders, so they're not going to be impeded by the woods at all, suffering no penalties there. And you can see the Death Shriekers also taking some pretty significant damage. Yeah, the focus fire from those Shadow Warriors has been pretty good, and I think we've seen a couple of Plague of Rust, rather. But yeah, so far, things looking alright for the Chaos Dwarfs. They haven't lost too much value, but definitely have lost some. These Sword Masters in the center are definitely going to be a problem. They're basically unopposed so far, but we'll see. Perhaps the Ironsworn can get some grenade volleys off there. It looks like some grenades hitting the trees as they fly in against these spears here. The Granite Guard's also just blasting point blank, something we definitely got to see up close. Absolutely smashing through these High Elf spears, but here comes the Lions for some more reinforcements. Add a little bit of armor piercing damage in there. Astragoth and the Bull Centaur also rear charging here, trying to break the leadership of the Elves. But honestly, besides the Swordmasters, not really much by the way of infantry. But yeah, there was Infernal Guard there. Fireglaves getting absolutely shredded. I mean, they're not shielded, right? They just rely completely on their armor. So with concentrated focus fire, even without the best AP value, Shadow Warriors 4 AP is definitely enough. And their non-AP damage also, depending on armor rolls, can be pretty effective as well. But ooh, yeah, there we go. Some solid grenade contact on those Swordmasters. And some Flock of Doom from Rider as well in response. It's not looking great for the Chaos Dwarfs, but let's see here. I'll definitely never count them out, certainly, especially with the single entity setup. The Taruk and Astragoth both going to be quite tough for the High Elves to kill. These Ironsworn are basically untouched here as well, so as long as the Chaos Dwarfs have these units alive, it's going to be tough for Rider to claim victory. And those units in particular, the Ironsworn with their 125 armor and 55% missile block chance, are going to be almost immune to the Shadow Warriors' fire. Even with Plague of Rust, it's still going to be pretty bad. But Rider going all in, trying to snipe Astragoth here. He hits that overcast Plague of Rust. And, yeah, going to throw plenty of arrows there, loose some volleys from the Shadow Warriors. A little bit of, what was that, Amber Spear as well. Nice little combination of casters here, working in tandem. Some beautiful magical synergy for the Elves. Block of Doom also is a way that they can try and DPS these Ironsworn down over time, certainly, rather than having to rely on those arrows, which are not going to be particularly effective. Instead, reserving those accurate elven arrows for these single entities. Unfortunately, the tree is working against Rider a little bit here. I'm going to be blocking some of those shots. And Cascading Fire Cloak also juicing up the Toruk. 66 defense, over 500 weapon strength. Swordmasters can't take it, and they're going to rout here. These Ironsworn holding firm. Ironsworn over on the far side, just tanking it out as well. I mean, they're wet noodling against spearmen, so it'll be some time before they win, but they definitely will. See that little magic missile spell I definitely never remember the name of. Burning Wrath there. Gonna do a little bit of DPS to the Shadow Warriors, nothing too crazy. But yeah, man, the tree's definitely being heavily in favor, but here comes Overcast Plague of Rust, puts these Ironsworn down to 65. I mean, still basically medium armor, but definitely helps, even as the Spearmen kind of engage. They're not going to be doing a ton of damage, but the Shadow Warriors using the last of their volleys, kind of realizing that they have quite a bit of HP to get through for these Ironsworn. So let's zoom back into, like, Woods of Doom here. And quite the pitched battle here. I guess, is this Cathay? It is, isn't it? It's a Grand Cathay map. Who knows? Whatever justification. I mean, the High Elves kind of sail around wherever, so definitely could have come to the aid of the Cathayan Dragon Court, maybe. There was, like, these guys were sailing on by, let's say. Something like that. Who knows? But the Ironsworn certainly have their own story to tell here as they continue fighting. Ooh, yeah, the Chariots also. Didn't see them. They were still quite so healthy. Basically untouched. This is pretty bad news for the Ironsworn, especially as they can kind of fight on top of supporting infantry to a degree. They do get kind of bogged down here, though. And only 80 armor. They will actually take some damage from the Ironsworn. So got to be a little bit careful. That supporting spear they kind of hammer and anvil into was pretty weakened. But still got some Shadow Warriors nearby. Eagle's also going to charge in and try and bail them out. See if they can just keep them moving. Got the Swordmasters back online. Illyrian Reavers not going to do much, but hey, with that Plague of Rust Overcast, they actually might do something with that little 40 charge bonus. Definitely not nothing. Here comes the Chariots as well. And again, even with these armor-piercing units, a portion of their damage is going to be non-armor piercing, so that Plague of Rust does help increase DPS, but Swordmasters aren't going to be long for this fight. And yeah, let's see the Lion Chariots, if they're effective enough. Ooh, the Tauruk's definitely going to be a danger to them. Gotta be careful of that. And it seems like the Spears also following up. Yeah, the one Chariot model unfortunately getting significantly stuck there. Having some major acceleration issues. But let's see, definitely anyone's game still at this point. It's also technically Conquest, so Rider Rohan falling back here to try and take the point, start to accrue some tickets, just in case it ends up coming to that. Definitely anyone's game still. And potentially quite a bit of game left to play. We'll see. Actually, haven't pre-watched this replay. I just am going in blind, going in raw, you might say. But, let's see. Yeah, Astrioth just kind of covering right now, not wanting to overextend too far from any supporting units, which is definitely the right call. I mean, not that he's, like, super at risk of getting sniped here. It's not a lot that could burst him down. But does have to be a little bit careful if he gets too isolated from anything here. The Eagle could potentially cycle charge a bit of damage off of him, especially with Cascading Firecloak going to drop here in a few seconds. Yeah, he's got that physical resistance partially charged up, which is going to cost him some speed, but will help against certain attacks, not against that magic attack, which did a little bit of friendly fire on the Chariots there, but they're going to continue running on through, try and catch these Ironsworn unbraced, do some extra damage. You can see the Tauruk kind of following up. There's not going to be an effective screen here, I don't think, and he's going to be able to get some free damage as he pursues. Actually just kills another model there outright. Somehow there's still another model stuck here. Let's just appreciate that fact. Chariot life. But another nice block of doom here. Going to do some pretty solid DPS, and that is actually enough to break the two units of Ironsworn. Leadership just can't hold up all that chip damage over time, and they are finally out of it, have had enough. But the two single entities for the Chaos Dwarfs remain, Astrioth and the Bull Tauruk. Going to hold out here, kind of go back to back. Try and do whatever they can to rout these here units. There's a lot of Shadow Warriors, not going to have much melee capability. But let's see, is Astrioth just going to point blank fire this? Really is only AoE damage is this Burning Wrath, but it looks like it's canceled out. But Astrioth going to take a charge here. We'll keep the health bars up so you can see what's happening as the Archmage comes in on the Eagle. It's going to get some damage. Yeah, the Tauruk looks like Rider Rohan tried to block with the Chariots, which is definitely a strong move, but didn't end up working out as he was able to just bypass Does get caught up by the chariot there, but that's going to be bad news for these lions here. Oh, absolutely brutal cleave from the Taruk. He also just absolutely runs through the Shadow Warriors and smashes that mage. Man, I'm really coming around, actually. I haven't been that big of a fan of the Bull Centaur Taruk up until this point, but it's proven pretty effective in the replays so far that I've seen from Shetland playing Chaos Dwarfs. It's also one of those things, like, I don't know if there's a lot of players really pushing Chaos Dwarfs. You don't see them a ton in competitive, even though they are very good. Depends, I guess, on the status of trains, but even still, this Bull Centaur is definitely proven to be a menace in a few replays I've seen. But will it be enough? Rider Rohan trying to hold out here. Scottish Shadow Warriors grinding. Bull Centaur and Astragoth are quite low, as is the Archmage. She might try and cycle charge a little bit here, but has to be careful. That Metal Mage is also maybe still hanging around, or might have actually been killed in that engagement. Yeah, we definitely... Yeah, I think she's gone there. Anyway, yeah, Astragoth here. Taking the charge from the Eagle, gets a big hit there. Him and the Taruk standing quite strong here. We'll fast forward a little bit as this late game continues, but Shetland looking like he's got this in the bag. He is in the driver's seat, you might say, on the straightaway. Don't know what Rider Rohan can do to try and overcome. Ooh, he tries to get a little isolation engagement there. But Taruk and Astragoth together, I mean, Astragoth by himself, one of the strongest single entities in the game, probably, and the Taruk definitely a great support for him, a little bit of anti-large. Well, we see that, oof, Archmage maybe takes a couple hits there. And just trying to get as many cycle charges in as possible. And there, gets a hit or two, gets hit in return. Taruk's fast enough to catch and actually finish the Archmage straight up. Wow, dude, he got quite a few finishing blows there. That was impressive stuff. 2,000 damage value for the Bull Centaur, and I have to say, one of the best performances I've seen from them. A lot of upside of something like a Gorbel, and they're really not too much. We'll take a look at that after the fact. Astragoth, of course, is the Astra Chad of all Chads. Definitely always been strong, probably always will be, which is totally fine. And then, yeah, the two Iron Sworn really were the kind of the backbone here. A lot of the other units for Shetland struggled, and I think he even admitted in the message when he sent this replay to me that Rider Rohan outplayed him, he felt like, but then just the army composition-wise, from a resource perspective, Rider just wasn't quite able to finish off those single entities, and I mean, it ended up being very close, definitely, but from Rider's perspective here, yeah, quite a bit of value on the beast, considering how cheap she is up on the Eagle with just a couple of spells. That is some excellent value. And then, of course, the Metal Mage gives some of her value out to the Shadow Warriors, all of which perform quite well. And the Lions also get some nice support value, just high kill totals as well, mowing through the chaff laborers here. The Chariot wasn't quite enough at the end of the day. I almost wonder, you know, hindsight 2020, easy for me to say, but maybe you switch the Chariot out just for more Lions, honestly, here. I'm not really sure, to be honest. But, yeah, overall, very fun game, very enjoyable. Hopefully you guys enjoyed that absolute scrap. If you did, be sure to like, subscribe, hit that bell notification. Every time I upload a new video, you'll be notified. Thanks again. We'll see you next time.